Managers, we're back. You're decked out in the Malbon gear. Jason Day's outfit today. I know you're a defender of Malbon regardless, and you have converted me from a non-believer into a believer. Like, I worship at the shrine of Malbon now, but today was a bridge too far for me, if I'm being honest. As the Malbon guy, are you defending Jason Day's outfit today?
Some might say unserious, yeah, but I was like, all right, and then when I turned around and I saw the Malbon script logo on like the back pocket of the sweatpants, I'm like, yeah, this is fire. So yeah, 100% in. I think he looked amazing, and I like how he was toned with the hat too. I know he doesn't wear a Malbon hat; he wears the same hat as Pat, or the old hat Pat used to wear. So it's nice. I really like that hat was all like gray. It's fire. I wish I could get that outfit.
Yeah. Like I said, this crossed the line for me on the Malbon. It was a little too casual. Like, I'm all for the casual. Jason Day's the nicest guy in the world. I love Malbon. As soon as I saw you in the Malbon gear, I needed your State of the Union, because for me, it was the first one, honestly, I think, that like just towed across the line for me, where I was like,
yeah, he's got to be so confident, because like you're gonna show up to a golf course and like you're gonna get looks. Like people are gonna
Pebble
give you
like a classic
American
Pebble.
Course. Yeah, so I was in on it. I thought he looked great. So no beef with that for sure.
Okay. Well, we're recording again on a Sunday night. The golf didn't finish too long ago. We had another Wi-Fi issue. This one borderline catastrophic, but we've solved it, and I think we're
every week now, honestly.
Yeah. Well, that's because we're coast to coast. We're all over the place. I'm out here in SF, and you, Jers, you're en route to the West Coast from your home base down there, Jupe Life, fresh off of the win last week in TGL. Tell the people what's happening for these next 2 weeks.
Yeah, the people have asked, so we're heading to the People's Open, boots on the ground, waste management, Phoenix Open. Going to be electric. Not sure what to expect, to be honest, because you know the ways of boots, where we move at a very high rate in and out of the people. I'm sure it's going to be comparable to maybe major practice rounds crowds, but I don't know. I've never been to. Have you ever been to TPC Scots or no?
I've played TPC Scots, but I have not been there.
Story time. What? How? Why?
When did I play it? Why?
Yeah, like why do you play it?
My brother's bachelor party. Not last year, I think, but the year before. But it was like, it wasn't anywhere near like peak shape, I would say. I can't remember when I played it, but it was like, I played it like a month or two after the tournament, and they kind of like were letting it chill there for a little bit. But yeah,
do you recommend
playing the course?
Well, because I have a bachelor party in April in Phoenix.
Well, you're going to go there. You assess from boots whether you think it's a course that you want to play or not. But you've got boots on the ground this week at Waste. So what we're going to do this week, we're switching up. We're continuing to evolve. I think, first of all, we always do this, and we always should. Shout out to all the people who listen to the pod, support us on the site. We're just trying to keep improving. We always say, what's strokes gain dog? It's getting better every single day. And so this time for boots, the approach we're going to go here is we're doing the pod. This will be out Monday morning, and we're going to talk a little bit about, obviously, Pebble. This will be kind of the normal pod. We're going to talk about Pebble. We're going to do some early thoughts about Waste, maybe talk about things that you're interested to see once you get there. We'll talk DP, we'll talk LIV. And then Tuesday night, we'll record the Boots report, get that up first thing Wednesday morning. And then obviously both on the site as well, Boots report on Tuesday, Boots report on Wednesday, factored into all the picks and selections. And that's over on the site, $9.99 for the weekly, $34.99 for the monthly. And then you're coming up here to San Francisco. We're going to be playing some golf over the weekend. We're going to be watching the Super Bowl. There's rumors we're going to be playing TPC Harding Park, getting some early boots for future events. Shout out Colin. Shout out to Rory. Last win in California. TPC Harding Park in the match play. It came up today. That's just down the road.
What a teaser. What a teaser.
Yeah. And then you're going down to Torrey Pines for the signature event at Torrey for boots again. So back-to-back weeks for boots. If there was ever a time to check out the site, is now the time? Has it ever been better than this week?
Yeah. Back-to-back boots coming up right at you. So yeah, I'm excited to get to the West Coast. I'm excited to play some golf with you, and I'm excited to get back into the mix with our guys, because we've been in the mix this week. We've been in the mix damn near every boots week. So if you're new, it's your first episode, drop a comment. Let us know who you want to get eyes on at TPC Scottsdale and going forward, because this is like the new format. Like you said, we've never recorded a pod before we've done boots. So Obviously, we're going to talk about a few guys, mention a few guys. If anyone I say or Adam says catches your eye, drop a comment. Hey, Matt, let me know what Chris Gotterup's doing this week. Let us know. We're going to see some guys. So
he's probably nuking from the tape.
Probably nuking.
That one we know. That one we know what Chris Gotterup will be up to. But I think, we talked about this after Century, and then we talked about it before Wildline. We said difference of like a Boots course between Kapalua versus Wildline. We thought that like Wildline would be a better course for Boots, and it definitely was. I think Waste is a good Boots course because of how many different like styles of players, but ultimately good driving is the key at TBC. Scotson, what do we always say is the best bootsable like thing to see? To me, it's off the tee. That's where I always think it's the easiest one.
You see the immediate reactions of golfers driving the ball. So, and this could be a great place to see it because there's going to be so many drivers, so many holes where you have to hit drive. So, yeah, I guess we'll see on Tuesday and Wednesday who's nuking. So you'll find on the site. For sure.
Yeah, and then always we're going to do the pod as we also do as well. We're going to do fast greens again. Shane Lowry, your call of the week for your value play on the first ever fast greens last week, nearly wins the golf tournament. He was in the mix the entire time. Great call there. So that'll be up both of those things Wednesday morning. And if you're one of the people who just wants to listen to the free content, that's good enough for what you're up to the week, then all we ask is for that like and that subscribe on YouTube or whatever podcast network you're listening to, because ultimately our goal is to keep a balanced set of content, a little bit of everybody, but ultimately, yes, up on the site is where the good stuff is. And it was a great month of January for the site. So shout out to you, Jers, for all your work for the site. And then also just shout out to all the subscribers, all the people in the Discord. The Discord's free. Email discord@vincerix.com. Just a great first month. I've been doing this thing for Vincerix for a few years now, and none have been quite as good as that first January. So really excited about getting things going forward, and we're just going to try to keep making it better. Enough of that, Jers, because there is a lot to talk about. I watched more golf this week than I think I have so far this season. I had my eyes on the full Saturday, the full Sunday, and that's because I had Tom Kim in the mix. I was extra glued in. Obviously, anytime you've got a guy mixing, you're going to be watching more closely, but I loved what I saw at Pebble this week, Jers. Before we get to Rory, just general thoughts on Pebble and the overall vibe of the event this week.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it last week on the pod. This is the week where everyone starts watching, including you, because as much as we're into the weeds, sometimes you don't watch every single shot, or I don't watch every single shot. But this week, Pebble week, you really get dialed in. And even if you don't have guys in the mix, just a fun vibe to watch, great golf course visually to watch. There's not much gripe with Pebble. Like there's gripe every single week, but Pebble there's not much gripe outside of the TV coverage. That's a different story, which we can mention. But yeah, it was awesome. We obviously both had guys in the mix. I was dialed from a Thursday morning. I posted a nice little. I had my 4TV setup, as you guys know, but I never get it going for the golf. I got it going for the golf because we had multiple streams and it was a great vibe. So I was dialed for Pebble. I wish we could have more Pebble, but it was a good week. Good week for sure.
Yeah, it was great. We talked about in the lead up that the reports were the course was going to be in as good of condition as it's been at Pebble in quite some time. And at the end of the day, Pebble is a short golf course. The guys are going to go low at Pebble basically no matter what they do to the setup. But I thought over the weekend, it was super entertaining golf. The Saturday with the weather came in. It was difficult conditions out there. Watching guys hit 7 irons into 7, like I was waiting for them to blow the horn because they always fucking blow the horn. You just knew it was coming, and it never did. So shout out to the PGA Tour. They didn't blow the horn. They let them play. That was super entertaining. And then today, especially on the front nine, you just see what Pebble can do, even with guys having wedges in their hands. When they put the pin in a tough spot, the greens were firm enough that you would miss. And then if you short side yourself, getting up and down from the bunkers is very difficult. For how short of a course Pebble is, it stands up. And we'll talk about Rory and the difference between the technology versus Rory's just an unbelievable skilled driver who does stuff that no one else can do. But it stands up to the game reasonably well when we consider how short of a golf course it is.
1000%. And I thought there were some great moments even on this weekend because I like checking the app. You're like, oh, he's got 120 in. Oh, he'll put it to 40 feet. Like what? That's not right. But yeah, so Pebble was great. Stood up, and about the horn. The announcers were like teasing it. They were like, yeah, you never know what's gonna happen. Soon we could be enjoy it while you can, and it never came, like you said. So that Saturday round was super fun to watch.
yeah, I couldn't decide if I was glad or not glad that I decided not to go down. Like I easily could have driven down, but it looked so cold on Saturday was the day that I would have gone, and it looked brutality. So I was totally fine to watch that one on TV, but it did make me, I've never like super longed to play Pebble. Like obviously you say you could go play Pebble. I'm going to take you up on it. There was just something about watching this week. The conditions, it was as good as I've seen a tournament at Pebble in quite some time. We didn't have the rain. We didn't have all those issues. I just love the golf jerseys. And it was entertaining too, because there were so many guys in the mix going into Sunday, through Saturday into Sunday. The entire time, the leaderboard was just stack with kind of the same set of guys. Ultimately, Rory pulls away on that back nine. We talked about Rory briefly last week, kind of jokingly, like, is he going to take the tournament seriously? There was TGL early in the week. I kind of put you on the spot. You said you wouldn't completely cross him off, but you weren't really leaning Rory. But you did say if you were going to come up with a reason for Rory, low scoring conditions. And that's when is that kind of the key? Do we just bet Rory when the conditions are low scoring? Or did you ultimately, what was your thoughts on Rory going into the week versus what you ended up seeing from him?
Well, there's low scoring conditions on a weekly basis, so I wouldn't say we always want to consider Rory when that's the case. But I will admit when I'm wrong, because I also did say I was out on TGL golfers if they're playing in that given week, and clearly that wasn't the case. But I did say that was an unserious and just take for me to eliminate golfers, and I eliminated TGL guys that week just because I had to cross some names off. You always have to cross some names off. So Tom Kim and Rory both played TGL in that given week, and we're clearly both in the mix. So shout out Rory, just what he did. The 14 stuff was funny, and I was just clowning him for. You wanted to talk about what he did on 8 too. Like he always has some clown moments because he is Rory, and he puts himself in spots that if it's not a good result, it's only a clown result, because he's in spots in the fairway that you're like, all right, this has to be to 15 feet at the worst, and then he misses the green, and you're like, dude, what are you doing? But just because he gives himself so many of those opportunities that they're bound to be bad shots once in a while.
He drives it so well that if he was amazing with his irons, it would be
win every time.
It would be completely and utterly unfair. But like, I just didn't. He hadn't played well there really before.
Yeah.
He did like. I didn't. Yeah, like I'll be straight up. I didn't really cross my mind of Rory having much of a chance at all this week. He didn't play amazing in Dubai, which is usually his like checkbox win. Now, what we should have known is that he didn't win in Dubai, so he was extra desperate to get that early season win. That should have been the 10.
And he lost to Jupe.
Yeah, and he lost to Jupe. Like, he had motivation to play well this week, but he was unbelievable with the driver. So he turned the par fives for the most part into minced meat. I mean, what he did on 14, everybody is like, oh, the technology, oh, this is ridiculous, like roll it back. Okay, yes, I'm not out on the rollback entirely, but in this scenario, when people bring it up about Rory specifically, no one else is doing what Rory's doing.
Right.
They've all got the same clubs. Rory's not some like 6'6" massive guy. Rory's like not that big. His swing is just unbelievable. And so I can't get on board with the like rollback stuff and like Pebble's been overpowered. Every other guy on the leaderboard was like positional iron play, classic Pebble guy, and Rory just boat raced him down the stretch because he was nuking off the tee.
Yeah, it's not like Rory is like F1 racers who the better guys have better cars. Like, he has the same equipment as everyone else. Go take that corner if you want it. There's plenty of long drivers in the field that could definitely attempt that line, but he was just so confident and just hitting the middle of the club face. Shout out QI35. I've heard good things about it. And he looks confident off the tee, and that's a dangerous man. I was hoping that he didn't win because I was gonna gear you up for Rory at Torrey. And I don't know if I'm gonna get there now because I don't see him winning back to back. But the way he just drove it was just unbelievable. And he just gave himself too many chances. He gave himself too many chances through 72 holes. And Shane played fucking phenomenal too. And just wasn't enough.
Yeah, and what was really impressive, I thought, from Rory this week was his short game and his putting too. I mean, he missed some putts for the same reasons you're saying. He just had so many looks, but he made a lot of sliders. That putt he made for Eagle obviously was amazing. And it wasn't. So let's talk about 8, because I texted you after the 8th hole and I said, I'm going to do a 15-minute bit on Rory's approach into 8, because ultimately I'm sure that the conversation now becomes, does this increase Rory's chances of winning the Masters? Obviously, anything Rory ever does before the Masters, the conversation becomes the Masters. His approach on 8 was why I don't think he ever wins the Masters. Because what are you doing? Like some of these iron shots still just make no sense. And yes, there's certain courses. This is also like Canadian Open version Rory. He does the same thing sometimes at these Canadian Open courses where he's just so impressive off the tee. But it was such an unserious approach shot, riding the wind. He hooks it way left into the rough. Like it was similar to, it reminded me of Pinehurst and just the dumb club selections and the shot shapes. Like, what does he say to Harry? Hey, Harry, I'm going to hit a 30-yard draw out over the ocean and like rope it in and try to hit it to like 1 foot. And does Harry just look at him like, sure, man, go ahead? Like, how does it happen? That was what went through my head on 8.
It happens so often. I watched so much golf of this weekend, and there was a lot of Rory coverage, and he tried to hit so many like trick shots. Yeah. Like, why? Like, but I will say he did hit a lot more sawed off wedges, and they talked about that on Thursday that when he worked with Butch wants him to hit these like Tommy finishes with the wedges. Yeah. And you and I talked about last year, why does Rory swing a wedge like he's trying to hit a driver 330? There's no reason. Like a half swing wedge is going to be well more controlled than the one because he spins every other one off. And he hit a lot of those sawed off ones. He sure hit some ones that were too spinny, but they were much more controlled. And it's always the wedges with Rory. Can they be just semi-controlled? And they were semi-controlled, but still some of the club selections and trick shots were like, what are you doing, dude? You don't need to hit this shot.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like but then once he got the confidence, once he realized that he was off to the races and it was pretty much over, then he started striping again. Like that last stretch, those final 9 holes was like vintage.
That was incredible.
That was peak Rory. That was as good as Rory can play. He got some confidence hit him, and all of a sudden he was striping everything. Like the iron play just started to become super impressive on the final 9 as well. But he still won this tournament with like a driver putter profile overall. But that last 9 holes he played was super impressive with the iron play. But still, why he doesn't win the Masters is because there's still enough like important iron shots at Augusta that separate the winner from the loser. He can't do it all with the driving. But however, last year when I switched my take after Pine and I said I'm no longer out on Rory winning a major in the future, because that's been my take for a long time. And I switched it and I said, I think he's going to win a US Open because the US Opens are so driving biased and he's just driving it unbelievable. And recently he's taken it up another level. His driving right now is obscene. What's the state of the union from your perspective on the Masters / going into this? And then obviously there's Quail as well, the PGA this year, but I still think there's something about the US Open that is going to be the best chance that he has to win a major this year.
No, I do clown like the broadcast a lot for like giving like hot take, great drive from Rory, hot take, longest drive of the day from Rory. But it's so impressive. Like he keeps going longer, and every drive Rory is the longest one. So yeah, I think there is something to say with that, because the U.S. Opens year after year, even when we try to switch the narrative, they're still like driving contests. So I do think, how my stance on Rory win majors. I think if he can keep hitting the iron / wedges just somewhat relevant, yeah, just drive it like that. You're going to give yourself so many chances. That's why I loved him at Torrey too, because if he was driving the ball like that on Torrey, he was winning easily. Truthfully, I think he was winning easily at Torrey if he drove it like he did this week. So, I mean, he's going to play well at Torrey, but still, I was going to bet him for sure if he didn't win this week. So I guess we'll see when that comes. But I'm with you. I think Rory will play well in majors, and I think he can. I might be back in on. I bet him at the Masters all the time. I may be back in this year.
All right, I'm going to be still out on the Masters. I think it's a special beast that the iron play. I will still be out on that, but the driving is a joke, and we know what the U.S. Open rewards. So that's and then we've got Royal Ports, but it's going to be another one of those where it makes too much sense, and that's why I'm kind of out on Quail too. This was not one that made sense for Rory this week. Rory
can win 4 majors this year.
Okay, that's what I wanted to hear. Is he live for the Grand Slam this year?
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe
that'd be something to go all this time with no majors, and then he wins the Grand Slam in one season. That would be
any credits TGL. That would be sick.
That would be sick. Get the monkey off of his back. But down the leaderboard here, give me just a second. So we can start with Shane. Obviously, he was second place there. You were on him. Great call. Like we said, that was your best value bet of the week. I bet low Irishman item plus 230. That's a tough one to lose.
That's a bad
against
beat.
Rory. That's a bad beat. But how'd it feel to be on Shane? I'll be honest, it was kind of typical Shane. It kind of felt like he never really was going to win. Like, this is what he seems to do on the PGA Tour when he gets into mixing these type of events. But what was your assessment of his play, and overall, how was the sweat on Shane?
You know how like we usually get mad at our golfers when they finish runner up, like show some more heart. But I mean, Shane played his heart out. He did well. Like no one was beating Rory. Rory had his A game. He obviously didn't have it in the middle of that round, like 6 through 9 was not his best golf. Then he bucked up for 4 straight birdies on the back, or five. I think he shot 5 under on the back. So yeah, Shane showed some heart. He made Rory hit some good shots closing it out. He didn't just hand it to Rory. And I was happy with Shane's performance. He gave us a sweat gave me a sweat from Thursday on, and he didn't like gag anything. It was just he played good golf, solo runner up, just simply got beat. And I have no qualms with Shane. This might be the first time I bet Shane in like 2 or 3 years, a really long time. So I don't really have any Shane sweats to compare it to. But I mean, it was fine. He played well. I thought it was a fun sweat, and shout out Shane. Good week for him.
Yeah, and I'm always a Shane supporter.
Easy to root for, yeah.
Easy to root for. I was on TK. He ends up finishing T7 because he shipped it off the planet on 18. But I think when he made that birdie on 9 and was tied with Rory, it was probably at that moment, he was probably the second most likely person to win the tournament, right up there with Rory. His thing was, he made so many birdies. Like, I don't know how many birdies he made, but it had to be near the field lead in birdies. But he just kept making so many dumb mistakes. Third in birdies. Yeah. And he kind of cooled down on the final 9 too. I bet going into the final 9, he might've been near the lead in birdies, because he was making bogeys, but he was bouncing back every time. But we've talked about this with Tom before, and we've said this guy is a generational striper. Like, when he gets the swing dialed, his driving was amazing this week. He was driving it so straight and had a little bit extra pop, but he just does so many little mistakes throughout the round. Some of the club selection on the par 3s, like he nuked it over on 12. How do we assess the dog? That's what I was trying to decide about Tom, because like he clearly has it, but at the same time, he made a ton of mistakes. And I was on him, so I might be biased, but what's your status on the dog for
crazy thing? As you said that, I was reading. Tom Kim made 9 bogeys this week. One of them was on the 72nd hole. So 7 of them he bounced back. So like you said, every single time he bounced back, obviously one of them he didn't, and then one of them was the last hole. That's insane stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, because I was thinking he would make a stupid bogey, and I'd be like, all right, it's over. He's got no chance. And then instantly he'd hit a 20-footer on the next hole, and we would be back in business. Like, I'm going to cut him some slack. Like, I'm not going to roast Tom, because at the end of the day, Tom is only 22 years old. Like, he's going to mature and improve as a player. He also was taking an eternity over the golf ball. Like, I know he was getting roasted for it. We started to bring this up last year. I think it might have been the Canadian Open was the first time we talked about on this pod that Tom was all of a sudden taking a ton of time over the ball. It kind of aligned when Tesori became his caddy. He's losing his touch and his feel, I think, by standing over the ball for that long. He had a lot of weird chips and like odd things. I know he's like trying to get dialed, but what was your thoughts on how long TK was taking to play?
As a fellow standing over the golf ball for too long, I know how you feel, Tom. Like, trust me, I do. And I've definitely been getting better at it over the years, but it's just like a feeling you can't describe. And Brian Harmon would say the same thing. Like, you just don't feel comfortable. And you could say, and from an outsider's perspective, you're like, dude, just hit the ball. And people have told me that for so long, and I'm like, dude, if you never golf with me, if you're listening to this, I stand over the golf ball for a really long time. Adam can attest. And I just get over the ball, and something in me is like, I just can't go. I don't know how to describe it, but so I feel you, Tom. I really feel you, Tom. And I think only time, there's no solution. I don't think, just time will heal it. I think, because I'm getting better at it. So I think time will heal it.
Yeah, shout out Tom for mixing. He mixed hard. It was a fun sweat. Like, I've got nothing bad to say about Tom. I wish he would have won it, but at the end of the day, it was nice that Rory pulled away, because it was starting to feel like Tom was going to lose by 1, and it was just going to be like he made so many dumb decisions throughout the week. It reminded me a lot of Travie, which that was also one of the last kind of short positional signature events.
Dude, you know Tom.
I know Tom. I hit him at Wyndham, so like I feel like we've got that OG connection.
That was one of the craziest hits for the Vincerix model, by the way.
Yeah, that was. But he
people always hit.
Oh, speaking of the numbers, despite all the shit that we talk about Rory, I mean, we don't feel like we talk a ton of shit about him. He still ranks out highly in the dog rankings. So this was another good week for the dog rankings. Let me see exactly what he was, because going into the final round,
he was 10th.
He was 10th in the field dog rankings, but Tom was 11th, and there was no one in that like final two pairings who was ranked higher than Rory in the dog rankings going into the final round. Like Rory was 10th in the field, but of those guys who was in the mix, he was first. And like the whole time, I didn't feel like Tom had the edge over Rory. You know, that's the thing about Rory's dog, and that's why he's higher in the dog rankings than like my gut would put him, is because it's usually only in majors when he kind of just does dumb stuff and loses the tournament. Regular PGA Tour events, he doesn't really care that much. And he usually, if he's mixing, like mixes reasonably hard every time.
Yeah, no, that's a fact. And when he was mixing, I thought that stretch on, I think it was Friday when he shot 4 over on the back, that I felt that killed him. But he bounced back so hard, obviously, on Saturday with the 65. So shout out Rory. It's never going to be perfect. I mean, sometimes guys have perfect 72 holes like Sepp at the Amex. But Rory had that really rough stretch and thought he was out of the tournament. And then he bounced back, showed a ton of dog, and got the win in the place he deserved to win.
And yeah. I totally agree. Quickly, Lucas Glover, absolute generational striper, and back-to-back weeks for me that in our 6K write-ups, because I had Sammy Steves at Torrey, and then I had Glove. So my 6K write-ups on the site for DFS are doing well.
Wow.
It was very like Glove being the bare minimum price with how generational of a striper he was. Like I almost bet Glove. It made sense. He keeps playing well. He missed every putt. I don't think anyone was striping harder than Glove out there.
Yeah, I was playing golf today and watching the broadcast, and every time I looked up, Glover had a putt like inside 10 feet. I was like, how is he keep getting so many good birdie looks? And he putt really well this week. He ended up gaining 4.5 strokes putting, which is immaculate for Lucas Glover, but he lost 1.5 today only. So going into 3 rounds, he was gaining 6 strokes putting. That is absurd stuff for Lucas Glover. So I will say, like, his striping ability is crazy. I think if you would wear this shirt, Lucas Glover, generational striper, drop a comment, because I think I would buy one of those. That is pretty. It's just what he does with the iron play is just absurd, and it just never fails. Just comfy high draws that are just so on repeat.
The guy we saved up. We could do the rest of it. We might. I don't know if we'll even talk about TV Scottsdale. I don't know if we're going to talk about anything else, honestly, because the Cameron Davis, the CD performance, you were on him. I've been on him the last few weeks. We've been talking about his start to the year that's been both sensational and terrible simultaneously. He's playing great, but he's also doing insane stuff. The amount of things that happened to this man over the weekend, like he could have been so far out of the mix, but he never was. The coverage was not giving him much love, but he was still there most of the time. He hit Justin Rose's ball. It went off of the green. He chipped it into the hole. He was in the native area probably more than anyone on the course. Every time I would check where he was, they would say the native area. We've joked that he should hit wedges off the tee on par 5s, that he should never go for the green in 2. And then he adds to his already all-star historical generational short game display that we've seen from him before. He now has the 2 greatest chip shots of all time. The one at the Masters and the one today.
Third. He's the third. Actually, it might have been better because I think, Sepp's at the Open is in that 3. Mm-hmm. So I don't know where that ranks, but it might be top 2. Truly insane stuff. And it started on Saturday. Obviously, he gets out before the conditions get really bad, a little bit easy. The hole 2 is a layup birdie. He ends up making a 6 because he drives it so far left, and then his second shot, he like nearly tops, and he's hitting his third shot from somewhere. I don't know if anyone's ever been at Pebble Beach. Ends up making a 6. Next hole, 40-footer. This guy makes a 40-footer to get back to even on the day and get right back into the mix. But what he did today, you guys all saw the chip. We posted it on our social medias. It's just so Cameron Davis. It never fails, and he's so fun to watch. And then a few holes before that, he had a massive putt to get to 16 under and he missed. It was like a 6 foot putt. He just watched Tom Kim hit the exact same putt, and he didn't even sniff the hole. Yeah. I love you, Cameron Davis. I love you, Cameron Davis.
It was such a treat. I love when he's in the mix. He looks so stressed out there all the time.
He's so stressed.
He's always breathing like so deeply. You can tell he's just feeling it. And Trevor Immelman mentioned it on the broadcast. And also shout out Immelman. He's so good at the color. He points out all the things, like anything like kind of random pops into your head. He just calls it out. Like he's always on top of it. He was getting so flat on that takeaway on the backswing. Like he was guiding it so hard, fighting the big right miss. And then he was just getting these kind of basically chloroform ball, as the NLU guys call it, where you just smother it and hook it like low left. But it is a joy to watch him. Trevor shouted out the fact that he's a major champion potential. We've said that a million times. His tee shot on the Tuesday practice round on the 5th hole at LACC remains the greatest par 3 tee shot that I've seen. It was even better than Ryan Fox's ace on 17 at TPC Sawgrass. It was that good of a shot. But did you, like, as someone who sweats Cam Davis, I think you have to know he probably will do something stupid and not win. And that's what I've accepted anytime that I bet him. But was there ever a moment where you actually thought he could win the tournament?
I was feeling good on going into the weekend, and then I texted you immediately on Saturday. He's guiding it. We're toast. And I love that Trevor also said that with his swing too. But then on today, when he had that putt, because he was playing so good. He wasn't hitting anything close, but he was hitting every green. Like he was playing out of the fairway, hitting every green. Because I was playing golf, obviously. I was just tracking him, and I was like, oh, minted fairway. Put it to like 20 to 30 feet. Easy par. And then when he hit that dart on 15, 12. It was, or 12, sorry, 12. Yeah. And I was like, this is our putt. We need to make this. And we're one back because Rory has this tough hole next that he ended up hitting a really good shot on. But the fact that he missed that, I was like, damn it, we have no chance now. But shout out CD. It's a sweat. It's a great sweat.
Yeah, and like you said, that putt was on the exact same line of Tom Kim, and he missed it worse than Tom did, which was funny to watch.
So good.
But that was also when Tom, that was basically the end of both of our chances there, because that was the hole that Tom flew the green by like 40 yards. It was one of the worst iron shots.
His bunker shot was absurd.
Yeah, though. And then he hit the world-class bunker shot, missed the putt. But last guy for the week, he's playing. This is actually a perfect transition into the waste management. This is a course that he dominates. This was the Scottie course before Scottie was now who Scottie is. Mm-hmm. He played fine, in my opinion, at Pebble. I think it was from the perspective of how does that set up Scottie to quickly get back to peak Scottie. I think he did everything that he needed to do. The irons were dialed. He wasn't driving it that great. Every time they cut to him, he was missing putts. It was kind of what Scottie used to be like before Scottie was what he was last year. It was one of those performances, but he gets the top 10 and now he comes to this spot where he's dominant. What was your takeaway from Scottie's performance at Pebble, and how does that make you feel about him coming in to waste this week?
The fact that he hadn't had any competitive golf swings in a long time and just lapped the field on approach. Come on. I think that's hilarious to me. Him gaining nearly 7 strokes on approach, first overall in the field. Like, dude, he's so sick at golf. And it didn't even look like anything. It didn't look anything crazy. And there he is, right back in action, heading to a golf course that is perfect for him. He's going to bounce back around the green because, one, he knows this place like crazy around the green, and this is a golf course that he always chips it well at. It makes sense that he chipped it poorly because you have a hand thing. You're going to lose the feel. He putt fine, though, gained 2 strokes putting. So if he fixed that around the green, the driver did look shaky, though, which I guess I'll find out on Tuesday and Wednesday how he's looking off the tee. He's got to be driving it well this week. But the fact that he can gain 7 strokes on approach after not swinging a golf club competitively in weeks is comical. World number 1 for a reason.
I will say I do enjoy watching Scottie when he's not fully dialed and things aren't going perfect for him, because every other player in the field, I would say Rory included, like Rory goes into the tournament confident that he will have a good chance of winning. Scottie expects to win the tournament. When he's not winning, it's like it's breaking his brain. He can't understand, how am I not winning this tournament this time? And it's so great to watch because he gets so flabbergasted, and it goes so well for Scottie most of the time that it adds a human element to Robot Scottie when it's not quite going so well, because the way he talks to Ted, dropping his club. He's exasperated that he's not easily winning the tournament because he's so used to winning now. That to me is what stood out so much, is just that, like, even after all that time off and not playing, he came into the tournament fully believing that he was going to win. No matter what he said, the way he acted in his performance was in his head, I'm every time I tee it up against these guys, I'm going to beat them.
And the fact that there was one shot this week where he hit like a 120, 115 yard wedge, and it like barely spun off the front. And he like took his hat off. He was like, yeah. He was like, how does this happen? And I thought that was hilarious. That just like, he's just so dumbfounded when golf happens, and it happened to Scottie this week.
Yeah, he doesn't experience golf very often, but when he does experience golf the way that everybody else does, it is nice to see. But yeah, he comes to a spot, obviously, where he's been dominant, twice a winner, right in the mix again last year, was in the mix before the year that he won or played well as well. What are the keys? We'll talk about if you think this is going to be like a Scottie runaway or not. What are the general keys? If somebody's going to beat Scottie this week, what type of player is going to have the best chance to do that?
Driver, short game, be aggressive, nuke it off the tee, and have the ability to chip something in, have the ability to be creative and be aggressive on and around the green. So this is one of the only courses that like I can play a not trending iron player, not trending ball striker if they're a really aggressive off the tee player who, like, I don't care if you've shown to lose 4 strokes off the tee. If you have that spike week in you, you can gain 5-6 off the tee. I'll give you a look for sure because you need that this week.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing looking back at the stats is you would think of, this is a classic Scottie course. He's played great here. This is going to be ball strikers, iron play paradise. The first year Scottie won, he lost strokes on approach. You don't see many PGA Tour golf courses in general where you get winners that lose strokes on approach. And anytime that happens, that stands out to me as something to kind of think a little bit differently about the course, because it just opens the door up. That proves that statistically there's other angles to win the tournament at this course, opens the door to more people. And when Scottie won for the first time here, he did it all with exactly what you just talked about. He gained over 5 strokes off the tee and then gained almost 10 strokes with his short game. Nick Taylor last year did a bunch of stuff with the short game. Ricky Fowler, when he won here, did a bunch with the putter. Like, you set it up off the tee, but once you're set up off the tee, from there, you could be a good iron player, you could be a good short game player. But I think like once you're in play, if you're doing that consistently, the paths open up to a variety.
You got to have that first step though, for sure. You can't be loose.
And I think what's interesting ultimately is strokes gained dog at this course, Jers, because we talked about it last year. It's in the hype video, which was awesome. Shout out Kohler for putting that video together. Major champions. When you look at this history of names of winners at this golf course, they're major champions. And is Nick Taylor a major champion? No, he's not, but he's one of the top 15 SG dog players in the world. This man has infinity heart. He had played good there the year before. Like, I don't think there's any angle this week for low dog players because the crowds at this tournament are insane. The energy is off the charts versus a normal event. You just can't deny the fact. Just thinking about it without even factoring in who's won here, you'd go, damn, you probably want guys who have some strokes gained dog in a tournament like this. And then you just look at the history of winners here. Give me a driver with some pedigree, some dog. I think that ultimately maybe outweighs any of the other statistics.
Yeah, no, 100%. And like, there's guys that I'm thinking in my head who fits that mold. And like, there's a few guys that are just easy cross-offs. Like, I was going through the odds board and I'm like, yeah, like he fits this build that I'm looking for. He can fill it up, but he's got negative dog. And this is one of the weeks you got to have that swagger. You got to be able to take the heat and just nut up when you have to on 16, on a few other big tee shots. And you can't teach it. You can't teach it for sure. You either have it or you don't.
What I think will be sick this week is, as we just said, every winner's been in the field dog top 20 now to this point on the year. What we need you to do for Boots is take the top 30 strokes gained dog that's up on the site. That'll be in the model, but probably by the time you're listening to this podcast, you go get Boots on as many of the strokes gained dogs guys as you can. Because ultimately it's trying to narrow down which one of those guys is dialed
great
enough.
Idea. It's a great idea.
I think that's the path.
Yeah. So if you want to see that list of the strokes gained dog top 30, Go onto the site. This short list, has produced the winner in every tournament thus far. So it's a very unique thing that we quantified. Shout out Adam and shout out Vincent. They quantified the unquantifiable strokes gained dog, and it's just minting winners. So let's keep it up. And I didn't think that, so I will definitely look at that list during the week and go find those guys for sure.
We'll do it at the end just because we don't want the skip ahead people to get upset. We need to evaluate the strokes gained dog from Pablo at the Bahrain Championship. I haven't actually seen what happened yet. I haven't seen the video. I'm aware of what happened, but it's a true dog analysis that needs to take place, because the fact Pablo at 400-1 almost did it again is why he's in where it looks. So we'll get there. If you're wondering about the Pablo dog situation, we're going to get there. I promise. To the field, I think this is the right field. I'm using what DraftKings has for the odds here. JT, Hideki, they've both played well here before. Are you interested in, with all this said, obviously, I know your assessments will also be boots related, but going into the week, the type of guys you're thinking like, oh, let me see what they're up to, how they're looking, are JT, Hideki, or Sungjae. Any of those guys, ones that you're like, if they look good to my eye, I'd get them on the card?
I mean, Scottie being in this field, if you take out Scottie, this is like a DP World Tour odds leaderboard, because starting at 14-1, we don't see that too often on the PGA Tour. But I'm going to say probably no. Sure, JT has some dog. Unserious right now. Hideki, had a really, really poor ball striking week. Could have been the weather. I don't know what's wrong with Hideki. And Sungjae, do we even have to go there? One of the least dog to talent ratio golfers to ever live. So I'm going to say no on these first three golfers.
Yeah, and I think, to be honest, so Rory won under 20-1. I'm not betting under 21, so that's like that.
Yeah, I'm not mad about that. Like Rory won. Like, sometimes you're mad when you don't bet someone, but no beef with not betting Rory, obviously.
And last year, the only guys who won under 20-1, Scottie, Rory, and Xander. Like, to me, those are the only three guys that are really worth looking to under 21, because all of the other guys, this week was a great example. Like, all those guys in those range, instantly disappointed. And I saw a bunch of cards out there. You know, I make terrible bets all the time, but I'm always trying to learn like what the vibe is, what's working, what's not working. Just putting, two guys, one at 18, one at 22 at 1, has not been the route for quite some time. And I think in a field too like this against Scottie, you need as many. You want more chances down the board, basically. If some guy who can pop in and maybe pull a Stevie Eggs and take down Scottie.
Dog.
The next tier 2 guys who I think fall in that bucket of like, are they really worth going to anymore in this range? Burns and Connors in like the 30s. I bet Burns last week because I felt like, who else am I going to bet? But I didn't love betting him at a place where the irons. This would honestly be a better course for Burns. He's a more driver putter style. Corey Cons has been relatively unserious, I would say, after that miracle putting performance at the Century. Any love for those guys?
I'm definitely Vic lapping Corey Cons because I saw Corey Cons at the Century, and I was like, he does not look like he's hitting the ball, and he's not been hitting the ball well at all. So I don't know what's going on with him. Burns, I think it's a fine number just for his like win equity. And he's really struggling with the approach play, but this is the exact profile that I want for TPC Scots. Like, I can get there at 30. And if you look, he's one of the guys. Like, remember when we talked about in Hawaii, I talked about how good Sepp looked. I talked about how good Harris English looked. I talked about how good Sam Burns looked. If I just keep holding on to what I saw, and I'm going to obviously go this week and hopefully see more. But I was so high on Sam Burns at the Century. Did not play great, but I was also high on Sepp and Harris English, the guys who just already won. So if I hold on to Sam Burns, he fits that profile of what I'm looking for. Definitely a guy that I'm keeping in my notes going to the West Coast.
These next 2 guys make sense to bucket together. They're in the 40s right now. And again, these are the DraftKings odds on Sunday night. I'm sure things will move around. But Tom Kim and Sepp Straka, obviously those were guys who are in the mix there at Pebble. Sepp, once the conditions got a little bit more difficult, that tested Sepp, and that makes sense because it's the short game most of the time in the putting that will let Sepp down. But that's why at a place like Amex, when there's really nothing but birdies that needs to be made, Sepp right now, with the way he's striping with his swing, can just dominate. And then obviously Tom, still around 40, to 1 in a field like this. Drove it great last week. He can mix anytime he tees it up. Any interest in those guys? And as somebody who won on Sepp a couple weeks ago, what did you think about his performance at Pebble? And would you be willing to give him a shot?
He's got a generational stripe run going on right now. I mean, if you keep hitting the ball that well, you're going to give yourself looks and get into the mix. He actually had a pretty decent around the green week. I don't know if that's going to hold up around
it was a lot of his bunker play was really good.
Yeah, I don't know how it's going to hold up around this place because it's a little bit different than last week. But yeah, Sepp's just simply hitting the ball so well, and I think he can definitely have another good week here. Truthfully, I would pick Sepp out of those two.
This is a home game for Theegs, and when I say home game, it's just this is the spot that Theegs bounced onto the scene. This is the spot Theegs finds a way to play well. I was on him last week. He played fine. He did some good, some bad. It wasn't anything terrible. It wasn't anything amazing. What number for Theegs this week would catch your eye?
I would say 50 and above. I was shocked to see, like, what is he, 40 right now? He was floating in like the 50s, 60s, 70s, and I know this field's worse. But still, like, he was floating around there in like the Sony type deal. Yeah, and actually, no, he wasn't in the Sony, but after the Sony, he was that. So I don't know why he is here right now. I could see him drifting towards 50, so we'll see.
This next tier, guys, there's some interesting names playing this week. Some guys who played last week. Bobby Mack was kind of indifferent performance at Pebble. Grazerman pulled out at some point with an injury, I think. Ben On, was he at Pebble? I don't remember seeing him playing. I know he was.
He was T22.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Classic Ben On T22. I don't think I saw him in any way, shape, or form on the week. Rasmus is up there for a while. Rasmus is a generational early round player. If you want to bet first round leaders during the year, Rasmus always worth a look there. And then Spieth, concerning comeback effort from him at a place that he loves. And then Windy C. All these guys are kind of in the 50s. Wyndham, nonsensical defense, makes we said his win didn't count. I think it counts even less after how he played this week. Of those guys, Bob, Matt, Grazerman, Ben On, Rasmus, Spieth, Clark, they all played last week at Pebble. They're all coming over here to TPC Scotts, and they're all around 50 to 1. Any interest in those guys?
I'm going to keep banging the Rasmus drum. I was a big Nikolai guy and like out on Rasmus because Rasmus was always like the worst of the ball strikers, but he's hitting the irons so well right now, and we know what he can do off the tee. He absolutely nuke, and also he can gain 12 with the short game. So Rasmus played. He was like T2 on late Saturday afternoon, and then the last 3 holes it picked up a lot, and he kind of melted from there. But Rasmus is not afraid to mix. He played with Rory and Colin. Like, I'm down for Rasmus again.
What was I gonna say? I don't remember what I was gonna say. But
Wyndham on Sirius?
No. I was gonna skip over all those guys because honestly, none of them were I couldn't think of anything worthwhile to say about any of them. And I was gonna go to State of the Union on Max Homa. We've been doing this on a weekly basis. I feel like you have a good feel for how he's been playing. I think you were expecting more from him last week, and or at Pebble. I don't remember. Again, another guy, like, did he play? I don't remember seeing anything about him. Looks like he finished in the T50 range. State of the Union on Max in the 60, 70.
Where's range. Joe Griner? Well, I'll find out on Tuesday. Is Joe Griner there? Because he wasn't there this week, I believe. And he lost 6.5 strokes on approach. We talked about him. I talked about him, I mean, saying that this could be a good setup because the irons haven't been that bad. Clearly, he's just all the way lost. Like, what is Puma and Cobra and Lululemon gonna do when he's on the Corn Ferry Tour? Like, are they gonna like keep him in all this cool garb? Like, I don't understand because he's gonna lose his card. Like, the dude is just you invented this. Like, he was lost so long ago and no one batted an eye. You saw you're like a Bitcoin miner. You see the numbers trending and you caught it early.
I caught it early and I've been monitoring from afar. Like, I think the one time I bet him was at I bet him once, maybe Zozo or something. Like, I 1 week I decided to test it out and see if there was like signs of life. I'm just staying away. I hope he turns it around. I know you have a personal beef with, not real beef, but he did roast you on Twitter. So you calling for him to go to the Corn Ferry, I'm not going to go that far, but I understand why you would give that take on him. But what odds would he have to be for you to bet him? 150 to 1?
I wouldn't bet him. No, I wouldn't bet him.
There's no number.
No, because that's still money lost. I'm not doing it.
Yeah. I mean, if maybe he wins, you can clip this, but it would be flabbergasting stuff.
Maybe 1,001.
Yeah. This next tier, I'm going to call these guys all capable of driver putter. And you tell me of these driver putter type of guys. They're all between like 60 to 80 to 1. Which of the ones you're most interested to get a look at?
There's one in there that's driver putter to the max who has the least dog in the world, who I was talking about earlier. So I looked at him and was like, oh, he's so driver putter. I want to bet him. That's Thomas Dietrich. Can't bet it. He could easily have the 54-hole lead easily here, and might shoot 83 if he has a 54-hole lead. I would put that over 82 and a half, 80 to 1.
So I didn't even see him when I was getting ready to read off these names, but I will factor him in here as well. All right. Mav McNeely, Davey T. Something's wrong with Davey T. I'm concerned.
Wait, what did Mav McNeely?
Minwoo, you tried to bet Minwoo late, and I told you no. I was not going to put it up. I was not going to put it up on the site because he has no chance of winning, and I never doubted that whatsoever.
He's so unserious.
Matt Fitz, we'll save him for random year of the week. Doesn't count. But Luke Clance is in the field at 65 to 1. He can have a great driving week. We're not talking about CY. Sam Stevens is a new driver putter guy on the scene. Any of these driver putter guys stand out, or you can pass on the driver putter guys and have Kurt. What do you do?
Whenever like Kurt is an option, it's though I don't know what the answer to that is, but I also love that we're gonna do the bit like we're gonna glance over him and we're gonna say we're not talking about CY. So I like Minwoo again because he's figured out something with the iron play, but this is a generational driver short game course, and that's what Minwoo is. These are the American links. I bet Minwoo here last year, I think, or I one and done.
Did you pick him in the preseason one and done?
I know I did last season. I'd like
you're wait, no. I was laughing because Vincent's pick at waist is max. But Shea was your pick and JT was mine on the preseason. Would you go to Shea?
Oh shit, dude. Yeah, Shea. Shea was every single round this week. Shea was like 3 under through 4 and just like blew it. So I mean, I want to see how Shea actually ended up hitting the T22. It's not a bad finish.
How'd Posty play? Well, you're looking at the numbers.
Poston was also -2 through 2 every day. Finished -6.
He can't putt right. What's wrong with the flat stick?
He lost. He was almost last in putting. Putting, but he hit the ball really well.
That's weird because
but also Maverick. He's striping. Generally, he's striping.
McNeely.
Look at his approach play. This week.
I'm pulling it up.
It's not like Maverick.
Wow, and
he's figured something out.
Is this a course he putted into the water? Why do I remember Mav at this tournament?
He mixed here, I believe.
Yeah, and then he was T6 last year. That's why he comes into my mind here. But the reason I brought up Posty is because when I was putting together the comp courses, top comp this week is TPC Summerlin. And Posty just won there. Posty continues to play well. He's hitting it nice. He just can't get the putter going. But one of these weeks, Posty's going to get the putter going. I need you to get eyes on Posty. Maybe even give him a quick pep talk. He's our guy. Say, Posty, let's have a week. And if you get the right energy and response from Posty, that's going to go a long ways with me because it was famously at the Players where that first happened. And then Posty mixed at TPC Sawgrass. So keep your eyes peeled on that. Ricky Fowler, Denny McCarthy, Billy Ho. Billy Ho, 90 to 1. I knew Billy Ho was going to be up to good things on Sunday when they cut to him on the 7th tee and they said, let's go to Billy Ho in the short sleeves today. And Billy Ho was the first guy I'd seen on the broadcast wearing short sleeves the entire weekend. And then he proceeded to just make putt after putt. He missed that one on 17. He never really had a chance, but Billy Ho continues to show that he can play great golf. We know the dog that he has. I don't know if I could live with myself if he wins one of these tournaments in the next few weeks over like 90 to 1 because we know he can get over the line when he gets in the mix. And this is a dog course. Billy Ho.
I mean, Billy Ho had an amazing approach week, one of the better approach weeks like he's ever had. And he putted really well. Like he had the game to win this week, truthfully. Just kind of came on too late. He putts well here, you're saying?
He has gained over 5 strokes putting in 5 of his last 6 starts at this event. He rolls it here.
I mean, these are like the pure surfaces, like one of the pure surfaces. So that makes sense for a good putter. 90-1. I think the last time I bet Billy Ho was the 2021 Sony or 2022 Sony.
Yeah.
I never bet Billy Ho, but I'm down.
Been playing that week. I don't know why. I swear he was on like featured groups.
Yeah, he was like one of the favorites.
Yeah, and he was hitting it terrible, and he was like freaking out. He could not understand why he wasn't striping. I don't know how I remember that, but I do.
Yeah.
Nick Dunn, concerning stuff with the driver. We were hoping that he could overcome the driving issues. He lost infinity off the tee. It wasn't good. Nikolai's playing. Well, let's do random year of the week. Oh, actually, no. Before random year of the week, he's going to be on the thumbnail. He mixed. He fell off. He's our guy. We talked about him last week. We're going to get him on the pod. It was a joy to see BSB Andrew Novak in the mix on Saturday, playing in one of the final groups with Tom and Tony, doing the walk and talk. This is where BSB Novak first popped onto the scene last year when he played well. He might have played with in one of those final groups. First of all, how did it feel to see him in the mix, knowing that you had just been texting with him earlier in the week? What's that like to have one of your boys up there on the leaderboard? And at 100-1, is he automatically on the card for you this week?
How can he not be like this? He played so well here last year, and he's a guy who could be. He's very confident off the tee. He looks fucking confident off the tee. Just gets up there and smacks it. And he's 2 straight weeks gaining on approach. I'm definitely down for Novak this week, and I think he's gaining dog and learning dog and really feeling comfortable in the mix. So this is he's getting on the broadcast. He's active on Twitter, and I tweeted this week. We need to not show every Jordan and Justin shot and start showing studs like Novak, Lee Hodges, and just like Theegs, random stuff like that. And the amount of like love Novak got in the comments, like, yeah, Novak is a stud. I was like, yeah, hell yeah, he is. So I think 100-1 seems a very unfair number, and he seems so confident and just playing such good golf. Whether it's like a slow start, just treading water, birdie run, treading water, birdie run. I could see him being like T10 heading into the weekend, which I think is a great spot. And I think he's gaining dog by the week. This was his first elevated event. T13 is no slouch of a finish. So I'm down.
Yeah, he has, when you look at his profile, like it's either he's very streaky. When it's on, it's really on. When it's off, it's really off. But he's green in so many different categories. We always talk about the green on the pod. He flashes the green across the board. He's a good player. Random Euro of the week. Jers, there's some good ones in here.
There's some good ones here.
Nikolai's come over. He's in the field this week with his brother, Nico Etch. Seems like a guy who could play well at this course. Matt Wallace is here. Seamus Power is here.
I didn't even know he was playing at
he played all right.
He played well.
Michael Thorbjornsen is 160-1. I know he's a guy you like to bet. Thriston Lawrence, we can never forget about Thristy down the board on weeks like this. He's 160-1. I said I'd keep my eye on him all year long, so I can't forget that I said that. Vinny Norm's making cuts now. Paul Waring is in the field for Hovland. That, to me, people were sad to see Vic not in the field. It was great to see Paul Waring get into the field. Ventura's here after playing well at Torrey. Early looks of random Euros of the week, or any Viking guys specifically that once you get boots, you're going to want to get your eyes on?
I mean, when they're hot, I don't know if there's a better Ryan Fox golf course. This is just nuke city, aggressive city. This is Ryan Fox to a T. Ryan Fox may shoot 61 on Thursday. I could see him finishing T68 after that 61, but this is a Ryan Fox golf course for sure.
Who of the young studs, any of the Corn Ferry guys that have been coming
I got one for you.
Those new guys that you've are excited to get eyes on?
I might have I don't know how to pronounce his name. You might have to help me. 1,000-1, Jose Ballester.
Yes. Is he the one who won the USAM?
USAM. 1,000-1?
I mean, we've seen amateurs, or we've seen players win the USAM and then win on the PGA Tour.
We sure have.
Waste is the famous event where Phil broke through. So the vibes of, and didn't he go to Arizona State? Yeah, he did.
Dude, 1,000-1 is insane.
Yeah.
Like, is that like a no-brainer?
I mean, it literally takes up, it's basically a free bet, because it takes up such a little spot on the card that it doesn't even matter. And I think there's enough purely vibes-based things based on what we just said. And we saw him at Truner Pine and got eyes on him early. So
no, that was true with the vest. He was wearing the vest with the
sweater.
Yeah.
Another guy.
You got to put him in your rankings for next minty vest guys. You did tweet that during the week,
sweater,
right?
the sweater rankings. While I was in the process of looking at the guys who were way down the board here, when I was looking to find Ballister at 1,000-1, Sammy Valimaki on the same week of the Cuddy Masters. The schedule is switched because last year it was the same week was Vedanta and he almost won. Sammy Valimaki could play good here at 700-1.
Yeah, 1,000%.
That's my random year of the week. Sammy Valimaki.
Yeah, 700-1. And also, you know who mixed on a driver heavy golf course? It's David Skins and Houston. 1,000-1. He mixes that absolute random.
Memorial Park was up there in the crossover rankings for the course history up on the site on Vincerix.com. One more guy to talk about I saw while I was scrolling through here. I need to make a statement. I need to make an apology. We always put our hands up and say we were wrong. Eric Cole didn't finish in the top 20 at Pebble somehow. He finished T22. I don't know how. He was in second place on Saturday. You tweeted about the dog to talent ratio. We're making a list of guys who their dog to talent ratio is too bad that we're no longer speaking about them on the pod because nothing good can come from talking about them. We've already have CY on the list. I'm adding Eric Cole. We're not talking about Eric Cole on the podcast anymore. We just can't. It's too, you just can't do it.
He's greatly talented for his stature, he's extremely talented golfer. Sniffs the lead. Immediate objection.
He'll probably sniff the lead this week. Every time he tees it up, he could sniff the lead.
Yeah, so it sucks because he's great. So many great course fits, such a great story, but so little dog.
Speaking of low dog, would you bet Denny if he got to the triple digits?
No, Denny's I'm not a fan of Denny.
That's right. Then you don't even want to see him on Boots. You don't like the vibes around Denny from Boots. But yeah, get over to the site. You're going to go look up. You're going to see as many guys as you can. You're going to let us know what you're seeing. But more importantly, we talk about this too. It's not all about the guys. You're going to tell us how is the course playing. It was Sony and what you told me about the path for a driver putter that got me on a guy like Fishburne, almost had me on a guy like Yags. You might see a path this week that is unique. And ultimately, like we said, there's been a variety of winning stat lines here. There's different styles of playing here. Maybe the course is favoring one of those. The weather looks perfect. I'm excited to see what you have to say. We just talked about the random Euros, Jers, and that leads to the DP World Tour. We were mixing hard on the DP. I tried to stay awake. I couldn't do it, but we had guys right in the mix the whole time. Going into the final round, though, I was so angry because I've bet Pablo the last 2 weeks. Pablo's in the top 10 of the dog rankings. Pablo has some of the most dog of anyone I've ever seen golf before. As soon as on Thursday, when he was in the mix, I always get upset because I know he's going to win. Because every time I've ever watched a DP World Tour event where Pablo is near the lead on like Thursday or Friday, he wins every single time. And so I was trying to watch. I had Laporta. He was playing with Pablo, but like I just couldn't stay awake. I fell asleep after like 5 holes. I just was like, Pablo's going to win. He has unlimited dog. I wake up. I like slept through. I think I woke up maybe 2 hours later, like checked my phone and I like blurrily saw that Laporta was like kind of falling back. I was like, I don't care. I'm not going to like follow this. Wake up, go straight to the app. I see it was a playoff.
How long did it take to load?
A while. Oh, it took a while. But and it was like it probably a solid 20. I think I had to close it out one time before I reopened it and then it loaded. And I see it was a playoff. I see Cantor won, and then I could barely make out. My eyes were still blurry. The other guys, and I see it's Pablo, and I go, I'm not surprised Pablo was in the playoff. He was always going to be right there. But then I said, let me go back and look at the 18th hole for all these guys and see what happened. As soon as I clicked on Pablo and saw he made bogey on 18, I was like, damn, that meant Pablo must have been in position to win the tournament because the other playoff guys were in the further groups back as well. It wasn't the final group guys. Jers, what happened? What happened? Did he lose his dog? It looked like it was he 3-putted the last hole. It was in his hands.
I really don't think he lost his dog, but I mean, there's no excuse for 3-putting the last hole when you have to win the tournament. But the putt that he left himself with, as soon as he hit it, he was like, get down, get down. Because if he went over, it was dead. And in that part of the green, everyone was fucking that putt up. Because I watched way too much of the Bahrain Championship. Like they're going to be talking about how much I watched it. Because if they run the analytics, West Palm Beach watched so many hours of this Bahrain Championship. So everyone in that spot was either blasting the putt by or leaving it way short. Because it was like up a spine and down a spine. It was a very weird pin location, and he left it like 6 feet short because I think he knew that it goes really fast down that hill, and then like right after that, Daniel Brown put it by like 7 feet, so it was just a tough pin location. Nonetheless, Pablo 3 putts, gets in the playoff, tees off first, immediately puts it in the water.
No,
and I was like, all right, this is just tough for Pablo's dog.
Something's happening. Like this is
but after that,
yeah,
I'm gonna keep going. After that, he takes his drop. He's absolutely heated. Like I've never seen a golfer get this heated. So like that was like, all right, I know what this dog that he has. And he takes his drop from the rough. He's like throwing his clubs in his bag, like tossing everything. Hits this like probably 160-yard shot from the rough, puts it to 3 feet to save par, and screams. He's like, "Let's go!" I'm like, we're seeing the dog. Like I've never seen this from a golfer before. I recorded it. I think I sent it in the chat. It was just like unreal stuff from Pablo. Unreal stuff, but you got to make that. You can't 3-putt there. I see all the dog, but it was just a tough scene.
So going like when he got the ball on the 18th green, he knew a 2-putt was going to win him the tournament.
Yeah, it was going to win. Yeah. It was like the graphic came on the screen like
I would have bet $1 billion that he would 2-putt. Like, but that's the thing. The reason he's so high in the dog rankings is because every week he tees it up, even when he's 400 to 600 to 1. He is a legitimate threat to win the tournament.
400 to 1 does not have a top 10 in over a year.
Yeah, but going into the final round, but once he's there and going into the final round, you're like, he's going to win the tournament. And the 100%. fact that he gave himself 2 putts to win the tournament, and he was plus 750 going into the final round, and it's like, you should just when I saw he was plus 750, I'm like, he should be like 50-50 chances. He should be like even money because this is Pablo in the final round. The fact he was right there, just the guy. There's no one like him. There is no one like Pablo in the world of golf. Qatar Championship. I think I bet Pablo in Qatar 1 year. I remember Maronk was mixing, Matthew Jordan. This is a serious golf course, Jersey. You hit here last year with Hoshino, is that right?
Yeah, that was one of my favorite sweats of all time. Rakuya had a great week. You got to stripe. You got to be accurate and just mint greens. If you're minting greens, you will mix, and they're not easy greens to hit. But looking at the leaderboard last year, a ton of guys who were in the top 10 just had amazing approach week. So if you're looking for guys to bet, definitely go with sort by approach and go from there. See who's trending in those marks.
Yeah, and we've been mixing the DP. I think
we have
close on the DP. There's something about
like 2 runner-ups already.
Yeah,
3 weeks. Thank you for getting me back in.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you're back in. I haven't found that winner yet this year on the tour or on the DP, but I felt good about this week with how everything went. I think a winner's on the horizon, and maybe the reason I feel that most good about it is our most profitable tour from last year, Jers. The LIV Golf League. LIV is back. They're playing under the lights in Riyadh. They're the home game for LIV. They're playing in Saudi Arabia. I have looked at a lot of golf courses on Google Maps. When you're handicapping like a DP event, sometimes do you pull up the Google map on a course and look down at it from above? Have you ever done that?
Honestly, no, I do not. But I probably should do that. I'm more of like a picture and YouTube video. I mean, I do like sometimes YouTube flyover, so it's similar.
Yeah, I would say that's similar. I have never seen it's like there's these random golf holes that look like the most unserious. And okay, the LIV folks, we're going to talk about LIV all year. We're going to give it our honest assessment, and we'll say when the courses we think are sick, and we'll say when they're bad. But there are some LIV golf courses that are unserious. This looks like the most unserious course I've ever seen. There is nothing else around the course. It's just like these 18 holes randomly placed in the middle of the desert. But they're playing it under the lights, which makes it sick. But from like a course perspective, this is the most it reminds me of when people want to talk shit about LIV courses. They've got one to talk shit about this week. But the under the lights, that turns it. I say all of that to say that the Under the Lights is going to be sick.
Yeah. No, that's just be unique, lean into it, and they're leaning into it. So, yeah, it should be sick. We don't know too much about the golf course, but Johnny Katz won here last year, and looking at that leaderboard, there's a ton of driving accuracy guys who just minted fairways. So, I'm gonna take that approach into this week. But I will say that field that they played in was not filled with Bryson DeChambeau's, Dustin Johnson's, Brooks Koepka's who can mint the ball off the tee and just nuke it. But I will say it's week 1 in LIV. Who knows how much those studs have been playing? I'm gonna go with some plotters and birdie makers who can build a card. I'm not gonna go with one of the guys at the top.
And LIV is the only tour. I'm not betting below 20 to 1 on the PGA Tour or on the DP, but I would go below 20 to 1 on LIV for the right guy. When I was looking at this course, it just looks like a place where the greens are on you draw a circle on the ground and you put the pin in the middle of it and it's just a flat green. Guys are going to be just stiffing it. And I think that's probably why you've seen like the driving accuracy guys. Because if you're just in the fairway, it's the easiest iron. There's no fear on. You're going to be able to get it up and down from the bunkers from around the greens as easy as pie. But I'm excited that LIV is back because ultimately, as we've said a million times, there's a lot of the top golfers in the world over on LIV. We need them to start playing. We need to start getting eyes on these guys with major season on the horizon. So are you excited that LIV's back? Are you going to be wearing your Aces hat? What do you have a team this year that you're going to be honing in on? What's your just general LIV vibe entering the season?
I did actually have a conversation with Kohler today. I think I'm going to bet a team every week because I know you're into the team markets, but I think I want to add to the card like just a single bullet team per week to win X amount. And maybe if they're long shots, maybe add 2 teams. But I know you're a team market expert. You've been in. I've never bet one before, so I think I want to add that. But yes, I am excited for LIV. We on these weeks when we have LIV, DP, and PGA, they're always massive weeks. And now we have LPGA. I know I tailed. I got a nice little sweat on Friday and Thursday and Friday. Shout out Extended Wrist. I'm going to be tailing again for the LPGA. The girl who won just had an immaculate week. But
she was kind of just ahead the whole time. It looked like.
Yeah, just like so. Maybe add her in the dog rankings for sure. And I think she was. Did Lynn Grant finish in like 3rd or something too? Because
I did not. I'll be honest. First of all, shout out to Extended Wrist. But I was following the scores each day. At the end of the day, I'd like see what the scores were. But I did see that Lynn Grant was mixing, and we know Lynn Grant is a Viking Cup member, 2-time Scandi Mix champion.
Yeah. So now we have 4 tours to track and bet, which is the prep going into this like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is just so hectic when these weeks come up, but they're so fun and rewarding. There's going to be a time where if you're listening, will hit 2 winners in a week, and it's just the best feeling ever. Stick to the structure, stick to the game plan, and just get with it for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and just let it all pan out and don't stress because it'll be rewarding in the end, and I'm super, super excited for this week coming up.
Yeah, and I mean, cut us some slack. We'll get everything up there, in the most efficient manner that we can. But yeah, these weeks are hectic with so many tours, and that's why too. We're doing the contest up on the side on the outrights this year. You're the only one with the winner so far on Sepp at the Amex, but I've shifted to more of like an 8 to 10x card approach, and I kind of like it. That's why we're betting all these different tours. I'm dialing it back a little bit. And I'm just trying to 1-2 a month is kind of my goal. Didn't get one in January, but warming up to the season. I'm excited LIV is back because LIV to me is a good betting tour. I don't know how to describe it, but it's like there's any of the tours that aren't as we've talked about this before with LIV and the PGA Tour. Like kind of anyone on the PGA Tour can win any event. There's a bottom half of these LIV fields that's kind of like not really in the mix, but of these events, I mean, you're going to have the boots at TPC Scott's. Which one, if you were going to call your shot, do you feel most confident in this moment of cashing a winner this week?
I would say Fireball's team bet for sure. So if you're listening this deep into the pod, that's a pick that's on the site. Fireballs to win LIV Riyadh.
There you have it. If you've listened for an hour and 14 minutes, you've come for this moment, and it's the Fireballs to get off to a season opening win. Who's the team this year? It's Sergio, Puig, Abe
and Carlos Ortiz.
Okay.
They're going to hit so many fairways.
No, that's a good team. I like Carlos this week. Remember when we hit him in Houston?
Dude,
That was a good.
How could you forget? You
But
play
yeah,
Carlos.
so great week ahead. You're going to have the boots. We're going to have that up on the site. You're going to be coming up here to SF. We're going to play some golf. We're going to watch the Super Bowl. You're going to get down to Torrey Pines. It's another month of golf. February is here. We appreciate everybody who's tuning in. There will be 2 more things up on YouTube this week. That'll be the Boots Report on Wednesday morning. That'll be Fast Greens, which is our DFS and best bet of the week. Shane Lowry almost getting the job done for Jers this week. Jers, thank you. And we can't wait to hear from you down at TPC. Scots, don't have too much fun. Are you planning on taking in the fun down there in TPC, Scots?
I got a text from Devo, so I guess we'll see. We'll see if I have any time. So we'll see.
All right, good stuff. Talk to you soon.
Peace.